Good morning and welcome to The Art of Composition. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. I thought I would do a video lecture series this week called How Dynamic Symmetry Works. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few examples from Mikhail Jacobs' book. Because when you're learning this information, you have to start out simple, and I always recommend that book for the beginner. So what you see on my screen is it's an image from the book, The Art of Composition by Mikhail Jacobs. And the way dynamic symmetry works is that you're working within specific sized rectangles. For example, on my screen, you see a root 2. And to learn more about that, you can check out a lot of my other video lecture series on dynamic symmetry. I have them listed in my user's guide. But anyway, what I want to demonstrate today is how dynamic symmetry works in a root 2. So let me point out a few things here. What you see on my screen is designed in a root 2. And the root 2 is the easiest dynamic symmetry rectangle to work within. So I'm going to show you what Jacobs is demonstrating in his book. In a dynamic symmetry system of design, you're dealing with specific rectangles that you break them down into smaller versions of the original rectangle. For example, like I said, this isn't a root 2, but I can break down any one of these root 2s into smaller root 2s by dropping horizontal and vertical divisions. For example, in this horizontal root 2 here, I'll just highlight this in a dashed line just so you can see it. There's 4 root 2s going horizontally, 1 here, 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 and here. But I can continue to break down each one of these, and the reason the artist does this is because they're creating divisions based on breaking down a specific sized rectangle. It works completely different than the harmonic armature. So I just want to point that out. So for example, in this illustration here, I can break down this root 2 on this side, on the right side, into smaller root 2s. So I have a root 2 vertically here and here. Then I can drop a horizontal line in the center of that. Now I have 4 root 2s, but you have to remember that every rectangle relates to the mother rectangle. And I talked about this before. There is a relationship between the outer rectangle and how you break them down and divide them. So when I divided this one root 2 here into smaller root 2s, meaning 4, I now have a division here which locks this element right here into place. But I can bring this line all the way up and continue to break down this top series of root 2s into smaller root 2s just by dropping a few horizontal and vertical lines. Now I have 4 root 2s, the same as here. So you're breaking down each rectangle smaller and smaller and creating divisions based on that. But when I do that, now I could drop a diagonal line from this corner right here to this corner here, and it locks in this element of the arm. So you have these diagonal lines being played out. And this is one of the important things about dynamic symmetry when you're working within a specific root rectangle. A lot of the angles match the angles created by that specific rectangle. So, for example, you have a diagonal line here which is following the arm, and then it moves up. And I'll outline those in blue just to emphasize that. But from this point, I can drop a diagonal line here to this corner, and it gives me this element here in the hair and runs down this diagonal line here. This is what Jacobs is showing in his book. But if you notice down here, you have a horizontal line right here. Where is he getting that? By creating a division here, breaking down this root 2 into smaller root 2s. And then he can continue to do this and find more horizontal and vertical divisions. And I'll show you this in a Juliet Aristides painting. So I'm getting another vertical here, but I'm also matching up this diagonal line here. But if I continue to break this down even more, I can create, try that again. I just continue to break these root 2s down into smaller root 2s, and you can find more divisions. And again, this is how it works. This is how dynamic symmetry works. And what I want to do is show this in a Juliet Aristides painting as well. All right, so what you see on my screen is a painting by Juliet Aristides, and it's designed in a root 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down this root 2 and find divisions, but I'm also going to demonstrate how she's locking her subject into place. Now, I'm not going to break this down completely because I just want to keep this simple today. But starting in the left-hand side, you have a vertical root 2 right here. And let me show you what I mean by that. I'll outline it in dashed lines. You have vertical there, and you have a horizontal division right here. So within here, you have a root 2 going vertically, but I can break this down, like I said, into smaller root 2's by dropping horizontal and vertical divisions. And you can see I'm breaking this down into smaller root 2's going vertically. But when I do that, notice how it's locking the head into position. So Juliet isn't randomly placing this figure on the canvas in a root 2. She is placing it on the canvas where it locks the subject in a place that relates to divisions based on the root 2. For example, I just broke this one down up here, going horizontally into 1, 2, 3, 4 root 2's. All the rectangles inside this root 2 relate. They have the same dimensions as the mother rectangle. This is what dynamic symmetry is. This is how it works, and it's very different than the harmonic armature. And I do have a short video demonstrating the two side by side, but you can tell she's locked the head into place here using divisions of the root 2, and there's another division here. I've just locked the head into place. And of course I can continue on. If you notice here, when I bring this over, I'm getting this horizontal division in the clouds. But what about this horizontal here? Well, if I continue to break down the root 2, and I'll do that, again, I'm breaking it down into smaller root 2's, and I'll find that division. This horizontal line right here is not randomly placed. So if I bring this here, I now have 4 root 2's, but I can continue to break one of these down further. And I have demonstrated this before in Jacob's book. And I just continue to break it down. And by the way, this is what Myron Barnstone shows in lesson 7 of his DVDs. I always recommend those that are interested in those DVDs to buy lesson 7, because he shows you this exact process using bottles. So you can tell I'm just breaking it down into smaller root 2's. Well, here's the division right here. If I could just draw it, that'd be great. It's right here. This horizontal line is derived from a division within that root 2. That's how she's getting that horizontal line, and it goes all the way over. This is all I'm going to show today with this painting. You can continue to break it down, but I just want to stress the point that she's locking her subject into place using divisions by breaking down the root 2 into smaller root 2's and creating more divisions. Again, this is very different than how the harmonic armature works. That's going to be it for now. I will do a few more of these videos this week. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, as always.